In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. Welcome to another episode of the Dawah Hard Talk series. Today we'll discuss the question which is asked many times to Muslims, that who is authorized to impose Sharia in society? In a Muslim society, in Islamic society, who is authorized? Who does the imposition of Sharia, implementing of it? Very good question. Um, right now, there is no Islamic society in the whole world. There is no, so and so Islamic country even all over the place. Even if people quote Saudi Arabia, it's not following it 100% in letter and spirit. So, in the current state that we are in, Muslims, wherever they are in their daily life, they implement or they impose Sharia. Basically, as I mentioned in the previous videos that you can watch, that Sharia is not just laws, but it is a whole set of guidelines, protocols, and therefore every Muslim is obligated to impose Sharia on themselves, on their family, on their society. And what does that mean? It means like praying 5 times a day is part of Sharia. Fasting 30 days in Ramadan is part of Sharia. Giving charity, sadaqah in the path, zakat is part of Sharia. So going for Hajj or Umrah pilgrimage to Mecca is part of Sharia. Being good to your neighbors is part of Sharia. If you steal money from someone, you have to face the consequences, so you have to impose that. But that when you do criminality, of course, there you don't self-impose Sharia on you. You go to a court system, and like I said, in a non-Muslim country, that would be the court system of that country, and whatever the courts decide, that has to be implemented. A person cannot self-impose or self-inflict upon them the consequence of Sharia. So every Muslim, by default, at the grassroots level, implements Sharia on their life. But when it comes to criminality and criminal justice and implementation of punishment, a person cannot. There's no vigilantism in Islam. You cannot just take up the law in your hand and start implementing Sharia. For that, there has to be a qadi. A qadi is like a judge, a legal jurist, someone who listens to the case from both sides and then orders a decree, and then he has the right to order punishment. So in a non-Muslim country, if two conflicting parties go to the court of justice, and whatever the judge decides, then of course they have to follow that, even if the Sharia law says otherwise. But because they're living in that country, whichever country they're living in, they have to follow the law of the land and follow that punishment decided by the judge in the court. They cannot ask the judge to implement the Sharia upon me. That's not at all. This is the boogeyman trying to scare people that look, American Muslims are trying to implement Sharia. They're going to take over America and implement Sharia everywhere. That's a hoax. That's a lie. Sharia cannot be implemented by the average citizen. Sharia in a Muslim country, in Islamic society, in a Muslim society, Sharia law, the criminal justice part, is established by the Khalifa, the leader of the faithful, the leader of the Muslims. He implements the Sharia in society. He makes sure that the judges and the courts implement the Sharia law to the masses for justice and fairness of their cases. So the criminal justice aspect of Sharia is implemented by an official government appointed person. But the 90% of Sharia, which is a bunch of guidelines and protocols and SOPs, they are individually implemented by the Muslims, by the average citizen in any part of the world, whether they're living in a Muslim country or they're living in a non-Muslim country. In a Muslim country, the criminal justice part is then implemented by the court system. So there's no vigilantism. Again, I repeat, there is no criminal justice or law taking in the hand and saying, okay, the Sharia says this, let me go and implement that. No, not at all. In fact, that will be committing a crime. And the state would then prosecute that person for that crime again, for that purpose. So hopefully that clears up the myth around this, that who is allowed to implement Sharia. Thank you very much for watching. Jazakallah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.